I'm Kevin, and welcome to my podcast, Finding My Freedom. Now, when I first started this podcast, I really just wanted a place where I could share my story, where I could talk about things that inspire me, things that I'm concerned about, just different topics where if anybody else was interested, they could come and listen and we could have a good time with it. Now, in the back of my mind, I thought, it would be great to be able to do interviews. I've been around for a little while, and I know a lot of people that have very, very interesting stories. But I hadn't really put a whole lot of thought into that side of things yet, just because I was still working on presenting my story and seeing how all this develops. But the other day, I had a couple people message me stating that they would love to be on my show. So here we are. What better time than now to start doing the interviews? I am excited and honored. And, well, I'm not going to lie, a little nervous about doing this, my very first interview. But we're going to go with it and have some fun. My first guest is a young man I've known his whole life. He was very instrumental in being supportive when I came back to Michigan in 2019 and decided that I was going to start playing again. He also inspired me to think more outside of the box, to put myself out front more than, say, I would have before. It's kind of funny how things move full circle. Here, I used to give him guitar lessons when he was a kid, and very proud of the fact that he actually took music to a point where it was making him a living. And now I'm learning from him how to get out of my comfort zone, how to put myself out front more than, say, being that side man or that person that was always backing somebody else up. He is a singer-songwriter. He is based out of Kalamazoo, Michigan. And he's found a way to carve out his own path, his own little niche for what he's doing with his music. So I want to play this tune by the Damn Handsome Devil called A Song for Letting Go. I hope you enjoy it.
I never wanna see you cry, but I know it'll happen from time to time. And I wanna see the grace of God in your eyes. It may sound strange, but you make me wanna believe. And I get lost in your everything. I hope I'm crowned fit for a queen. You can never know how things will go. Circumstances are better taken on slow. We can run for the hills and cover our tracks, put out the fire, never look back, see the sea through each other's eyes. is right. And I can hold your hand and brush your hair, pull you in close to my loving snare, kiss your lips and never hold back. But I needed you on my side, I never wanted to say goodbye. This is a song for letting go. But I needed you on my side, never wanted to say goodbye. This is a song for letting go. This is a song for letting go. This is a song for letting go.
Hey Devon, how you doing, buddy? I know it's been a while since we've been in touch, but it's really great to hear from you.
Yeah, man, same. I'm really happy that we've been able to catch back up and get back in touch with one another over the last couple of years. I think it's probably been about 2 years since we've seen each other, if that. Yeah, really grateful for the time that we had together in Kalamazoo, and really happy to hear that you're doing so well, and we've got this new evolution of our relationship.
Yeah, man, it's always a great time hanging out with you, and I really miss playing with you, bud. It's always fun. So where are you from?
Well, okay, so I'm from originally Rollin, Michigan, which is a small highway between a small town on a small highway between two other small towns, between Addison and Hudson, Lower East Side of Michigan. And I grew up there with my grandparents, my mother for the first 10 years of my life. I kind of spent my time between Rollin and Hudson, and then I went to school at Addison Elementary. Then my mom, I moved in with her boyfriend when I was about 10 to Battle Creek, because he worked in Kalamazoo, and I lived there till I was 21 and moved to Kalamazoo, and for the most part, other than 2020, I've been in and still reside in Kalamazoo.
So when did the music bug bite you? When did you first start getting interested in music?
Well, I wasn't really much into music until my mom met her boyfriend that we ended up moving in with, and he was a huge metalhead, like Iron Maiden, Megadeth, Iced Earth. Those were like his predominant bands, and those were like the three bands that I really listened to basically non-stop from like age 9 probably till about 12. So I was constantly around music. He was always listening to music. Him and my mom would constantly go to shows. He was very much like a heavy metal guy, and that was his lifestyle. So that's what got everything kind of started. But then what got me to like, oh, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to play music. It's actually playing classic Tony Hawk Underground PlayStation game. And once you get so far, you unlock this level called Hotter Than Hell, and it's a Kiss concert. And when you hit like a certain move or something, you unlock music videos, and they were live performances of of Kiss, and the first one I think unlocked was God of Thunder, where Gene Simmons sings the song, and he gets like pulled up onto a higher level and flies all over the place, spitting blood, and I was just like, oh shit, this is so cool. I just became obsessed. And grandparents saw that I was really getting into Kiss, so they bought me a bass for Christmas. And that's kind of where I started, was playing bass, and I'm pretty sure that's how our lessons started too. Was when you were giving me guitar lessons, you were giving me bass lessons on my first act bass.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was bass, wasn't it?
Trying to learn how to be a bass player, but I could basically only get in touch with people who play guitar. And then eventually played Guitar Hero 3. That introduced me to Slash, Guns N' Roses, and I got really into playing guitar, and I would try and play the guitar melodies and what solos I could on bass by ear to my Guns N' Roses CDs. And eventually I believe I was 14 when I got my first guitar. My mom's dad, my grandpa on that side, bought me just some classical acoustic from an antique shop, I think in Ann Arbor. So rusted, and it's terrible buzzing, and I mean, was not a great guitar, but I mean, it got me started. And remember the ride home from Ann Arbor, I was playing the guitar in the back seat. Like, I just couldn't put it down. I think by that point I was reading Guitar World, and they came with like little instructional DVDs. And I think I started with, it was like Randy Rhoads introduction or something like that. Exposed to Southern rock in some way. I think it was probably through Pantera and Black Label Society.
Well, that's definitely an interesting way of getting exposed to Southern rock, huh? But your musical roots do run deep. I remember your mother playing with one of the guitar players that I used to play in a band with, and she was an accomplished musician in her own right.
Yeah, my mom, my grandmother, her mom, she was the organist of our church for, I mean, God, forever. It was like 30 years. Basically she was very talented musician as well, so it was just fucking bound to happen at some point.
I do remember they had you a bass, and I was pretty vocal about getting you to play guitar myself.
Yeah, I feel like I remember that, because I was trying to get you to teach me Metallica songs at that point. Master of Puppets was one of the first CDs I owned, if not the first CD I owned, and I was just, all about trying to learn how to be Cliff Burton, and yeah, vaguely remember that. I was like maybe 9 at that point.
Yeah, I know you were very, very young. I had ended up moving away, and we had lost touch for a number of years, and I had came back, and I remember you were probably a late teenager, like 18 or 19, and talking to you at your uncle's wedding, William's wedding, and you were talking about how you were getting your start playing gigs and stuff. Do you want to kind of elaborate a little bit about how you got your start doing that?
Yeah, my freshman year, I started getting together with other musicians, with other friends, and found a drummer, and a bass player who became my best friend. We're still close friends. I talk to him almost every other day. And we started a band out of the drummer's garage. We were a metal band called Dropsick Poets, which is like the most quintessential first band name, I think. Metal band name. And like the bass player and I were I was really into like thrash metal. The bass player was kind of into more like Disturbed, Godsmack sort of thing. And then the drummer and the lead vocalist, or screamer I guess, were into nothing but the popular metalcore of that time. So there was all this conflict of like musical interests, but we would jam, kind of wrote a few songs, and then a close friend of mine, his dad was a popular musician in the Battle Creek area, and he got us our first show, and so we could actually get on stage. He recommended that we learn these classic metal songs. I think I was probably 15 at that point. Had like a really cool Les Paul Jr. It was black with like this tobacco burst, and played at Planet Rock, which I think it's called a Music Factory now in Battle Creek. Yeah, and then like once that happened, then we became like we were like the rock guys, the musicians, and that's what we did. Had that band for I think a year, and then Scott Bradley, the bass player, and Landon Hutchings, the drummer, we became Downfall. And we would like practice almost every day we possibly could, especially that summer between my junior and senior year. What we did every day was we practiced every day. It was so much fun. That's when we did our first photo shoots, and we were constantly trying to get shows in the Battle Creek area. We expanded out to like Indiana, and I think we played a show or two in Ohio because he was going to be going to college. So it's just the drummer and I, and we ended up getting together with because we had played so many shows at Planet Rock and the surrounding area. We became quite close friends with the other bands, and a lot of our favorite bands ended up breaking up for this or that reason. So we ended up making like a super group of metal bands in that area. And that's how we came up with I Am 6. I did like put most of my time and effort into. Called me and said I could sleep on his floor if I wanted to, so we could get the band, keep the momentum going with the band. 4 guys in this 2-bedroom apartment in Battle Creek with 4 cats, and Scott and Lev had their own rooms, and Landon and I slept on the floor in the living room, and it was like that for like 3 years, maybe longer, 3.5 years.
So during this time period, did you guys do many recording? Sounds like you pretty much lived the band lifestyle for a number of years there. How much recording did you do?
We did 1 EP, and then ended up recording a full album. Or no, we did 2 EPs. That's right. We did 1 EP with Joby Pucker, who we ended up doing our full album with. The album was called Emotion at Rest. But that second EP, we ended up using that recording for a song called Land Sanity. Used that recording for the one music video that we put out with Steven Richmond, I think is his name. If you look up I Am Six on YouTube, that's the only video that we have, or music video at least. And then our Facebook page, I'm sure, still has all of the live recordings of us playing in Marshall, and that was like our stomping grounds, Marshall, Battle Creek, Kalamazoo. That's what got me really to go to Kalamazoo, was the music scene in Kalamazoo, because there are no house shows in Battle Creek, but there are plenty of house shows in Kalamazoo. And yeah, it's my favorite thing about Kalamazoo is the artistic student ghetto. It's where it's at.
So by the time I caught back up with you in 2019, at that time you were hosting open mic nights with just you and your acoustic guitar, playing a lot of gigs, and rounding up musicians, and filling up your shows with different musicians doing different time slots. Where was the time period where you went from being in bands to being a solo artist, where it was just you and your guitar? Because for me, that was a very different way to play than being in a band. And it seemed like you made the transition, relatively smoothly by the time I saw you again. So did you start playing like just on a corner and open up your guitar case for tips?
Yeah, actually, that is kind of how it started out. I had my mom's, and still do, my mom's 1972 Washburn acoustic.
That is a beautiful guitar too, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
Didn't you also play at some of the places like in Hudson, Michigan, by your grandparents' house over there, and these small little towns like Hudson and Rollin, and just right on the street corner there, or in the little cafes?
There was one place that I did play at in Hudson called Rumors. I don't really recall playing on any street corners in that area, but I did play at Rumors, and I think that was the first time I had like my own show, and I would play there like once or twice a week, if not more than that, because I did play a couple shows. Pretty damn good money, actually, just off the tips, and I would get a free meal. I had the owner was like a cousin of mine, and he was he didn't really care for my music unless I played like something from the 70s, and okay, that's music to me, or some shit like that,
Yeah, you know how that goes.
Yeah, like my like audition, I played Hey Yo or Snow by the Red Hot Chili Peppers, which is that's a hell of a song to play in guitar, especially that main riff. I turned it into my own acoustic version, but that main riff that John Frusciante does is ridiculous. And yeah, just he wasn't impressed at all until I played like The Joker by the Steve Miller Band. It's like, okay, I guess you could play.
Yeah, that's just the way it goes with playing in those small clubs and bars like that. Because
yeah,
I remember when I first got my first gig playing on the weekends, we could have played "Achy Break Your Heart" all night long, and nobody would have cared. Just that one song. So it's funny how these songs just bring back memories for people, and they just, they really love them,
Yeah, for sure. Nostalgia is a powerful element.
So what actually brought you to Kalamazoo? What made you decide to actually make the move to Kalamazoo?
So I knew that there was an abundance of young creative types in Kalamazoo. thanks to the experience that I had in the Vine neighborhood, and was dating a girl that lived in Kalamazoo, and I would go up there quite often with her, and she was an artist, and I was just exposed to so much I wasn't getting in Battle Creek.
Yeah, the Kalamazoo music scene is still really, really good, even in Michigan, in certain spots where, you know, the music has died in a lot of places. Now, I wanted to ask you too about developing your show. I know when I was coming up, being in a band, we had the luxury of bouncing ideas off of people. Now, cultivating your own acoustic solo show at the age where you were doing it, how difficult was it to decide the sets and to figure out what was working and what wasn't?
Well, I fortunately would have a loving partner who was there. She was at nearly every show. I don't think she was working there at that point any longer. So she would definitely help me curate what sounded good, what she thought sounded good with it. And my own experience of just, I have such a wide range of musical interests, and been referred to as like a walking jukebox, and so I just had all these songs that I had either been playing for a long time, I had learned over the years, or would just like, I'd hear a song and go, oh, I think I can turn that into an acoustic song. That's like one of my favorite. That was like one of my favorite things to do, is if I hear a song, and then I've heard you talk about this too. How exciting it is to take a song that's by that you hear by a band of people and try and figure out how you can compress it to sound good coming from just one acoustic.
Yeah, I personally have a lot of fun rearranging songs like that. Instead of playing it note for note and trying to play it just like the record, you can just add a little bit of your own style and creativity in it too.
Yeah, so that was really how I did my sets. I just wrote out all the songs that I knew, and then I would try and write out I'd try and categorize them by genre, and then towards the end of it, I was trying to categorize them by what key they were in addition to what genre, in addition to the BPM, so I could kind of get a flow of a set list. Fortunately, because of my sporadic interests, I would often learn a song that, a day before or something, and then it kind of wouldn't work. It would work, but barely. But yeah, that's pretty much how I would do. I come up with my set list most every time.
So, how did you make the transition from basically going from the weekends to full time? Because you were pretty much playing full time by the time we caught back up in 2019. And I know in Kalamazoo there was probably 5 open mics a week you could go to, and even that small town. How long was the journey to get to basically full time?
Well, I was really fortunate in having a partner that supported me through that time, and she just one day just kind of shook me by the shoulders and was like, what do you want to do? At that point, I was already doing the Damn Handsome Devil thing, and she's like, you know what, let's just give it a try. So I put all my effort into being a musician.
Well, I know when you started asking me to come to these open mics that to me your show sounded well developed, and I could tell that you had gained a ton of experience over the years, and the time that you spent playing full time showed a consistency in your playing and how much better you got. When you were playing several days a week, how did that inspire you to develop your show even more? Like, were you able to break it down even more and dial it in a little bit more and more every time?
I never wanted to play like the same show each time, because you'd have musicians that would just play the same set, especially at the Union as a cook, and you could hear the musicians. I would get hung up on that idea that you had to play something different every single time. So I would come up with completely new shows for every open mic, for every Damn Handsome Devil show, and that just became so exhausting and it's not really realistic. So I would throw in a little flavor, and I would do different songs. I would still make sure I was doing the different songs each time, but I wouldn't try and like learn new material every time, because for a while there I was trying to do that, and I just have like an absurd number of songs that I used to play. I mean, absurd.
Yeah, especially being just you and your guitar. The average song is only about 3 minutes, so you're looking at like 60 plus songs a night just to cover the time period that you get hired to cover.
Yep.
So what are your plans for the near future? What's life after COVID look like for you, buddy?
I've had a lot of people who saying they wanted to see me in the open mic scene again, so I have plans to get back to playing acoustically. But otherwise, I've been working with a drummer from the local band called Nothing New. And I hope to be to officially be in this band and us doing shows come like March, April, around that time. Still not settled on a particular name yet, but if that happens, and I'm really hoping it does, because working with other musicians right now, so we can't really do anything till March. But when it comes, man, I'm so excited, because it'll be the first band that I've played with, first drummer I've worked with since I'm 6 broke up. Yeah, so that's where my state as a musician is these days.
Well, that sounds great, man. Definitely keep me posted. If I'm relatively close, I will definitely be checking that out. So I wanted to thank Devon for stopping by and chatting with us for a little bit. If you want to find any of Devon's stuff, I will post the social media links in the description. And I hope you all have a blessed day, and thank you for listening to the first ever interview on Finding My Freedom podcast. And we will talk to you soon. See ya.